Salty, my brother. Hey, man. Oh, I'm hanging in there, dude. I actually just woke up from a nap. I just tried to catch like 30 minutes before the stream started. How you doing, man? I'm glad, brother. I need to get online so we can play some games sometime soon, man. I know, man. I'm the one holding it up. You're the one who's been like, let's do it. Yeah, that's what you were saying, that you've just been working like there's no tomorrow, man. Actually, bro, I was getting ready to start back to work uh, the day my dad passed away. Like I had flown to, well, not the exact day, but like that week I had flown to Chicago for work. Dad passed away. I flew right back, and then now I'm not starting back until after Memorial Day. So it's been nuts. They've been so good to me. It's been insane. Like I feel bad with how good they've been to me. All right, let's kick this off. What's up, everyone? Happy Saturday. I almost said Sunday. Lose track of my days here. Oh, yeah, dude. It has been a lot lately, man. I, uh, I would be perfectly content with boring for the rest of my life. Um, Now if I can just remember what we were working on Sunday when we were doing this last. That's right. Let's see. Oh, I better go do that real quick. But I'm not even logged into TryHack Me. Let's get logged back in real quick and go boot the machine up. Hey, all right. It seems to always want to disconnect me. Where are the notes? Oh, my robo page. Over here? Yeah, here it is. So, I don't think we added the exploitation agent back in. Actually, we did add exploit in here. What do we have in the graph? Double check this real fast. Actually, none of those tasks actually go to exploit, which is fine. So let's do something. Let's run through this real fast. We can grab my. Let me go grab my seed data real quick. We'll let this run through, capture all the info. Get a fresh pickle. Don't want any stale pickles. Right. And our stinger handoff. I don't know if we actually need that stinger handoff node in there, but you know what? We'll do it. Oh, I gotta go see what the new box IP is. There it is. 10, 4, 6. Drop that in quick. So I'm going to let this run because it can take a little bit of time. It usually takes about 3 to 4 minutes to run through this. So I want it to run, and it's going to save us a copy of the state table as a pickle, and then we can use that for the rest of the testing tonight. Back this up. So to the recon agent. Perfect. All right. Cool. Let that run for just a wee minute. And while that's running, go back over here and see how to start on the exploit agent. Hey, Laughing, what's up, man? Happy Saturday. Dude, I just was working around the house today, doing, like, getting tasks done that, like, hadn't been done in forever. I had an old, like, raised bed garden in the backyard. So I took that down and was finally making some space so that Agent Zero and Honey Badger can actually play in the backyard. It was taking up most of the backyard. Granted, the backyard's the size of a postage stamp, so it didn't take much. Trying to finish up the new Hack the Box season.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Frozen? Frozen? Bad. Bad. I thought about getting a squirt bottle I could, like, squirt at the camera, like, that. But I couldn't find one. Alright, so Laughing's almost done with the Hack the Box season. Trying to find the Privesk. Nice. Let's see here. Hey, happy Saturday, Frozen. Yeah, dude, I didn't get to go with them today because I had too much stuff to kind of get ready. I thought I was actually going to have more stuff to prepare for my father's funeral, but turns out I didn't have to do nearly as much as I thought I was going to have to today. So we ended up just working a lot out in the yard, getting things cleaned up, making sure the chickens were all situated, stuff like that. So let's check something. Have we built the graph out yet? Let's see. Load pickle. That's it. Literally all we have for the exploit graph is. Yeah, so right now the exploit graph is literally just one node. That's why it's, I know you can't see it super well, but there's the exploit node right there if you really squint your eyes a bit. And it's because it's over here doing the tool node. It probably should be doing over here in the enum agent. It's probably doing I need to zoom back in. Let's see what the enum agent's doing. It should be running GoBuster right now. Actually, you know, easier way to check it. Oh, it says it right there, yeah. It's doing a GoBuster brute force. Perfect. Alien? What? What alien? Let's see here. Alright, so that's what we load the pickle. Let me read through the code here on what the exploit agent is doing. So first thing it does is make sure that we have a task assigned to exploit. That's not going to be such a big deal. And this is the same logic we had essentially set up for, what was it? For recon and enum, just for the initial task handling, saying I think the Stinger state might actually get expanded to have tracking for exploit tests. So what we'll probably have is, because we look at the Stinger state here. So, here you go. So the Stinger state has an area for tracking tasks, but I'm thinking to add a second area below it where we just track the exploitation task. Let's see, actually, what's our task structure configuration? So you do always have a pre-flight check. We have status, agent. Yeah, because what I was thinking about, I've been trying to think about the structure of the exploitation agent. And rechecking my notes here. Oh, I didn't bring this down. 10. There you go. So what I was thinking about is adding an exploit task operation into there, so that we could go through and have a separate queue in there for tracking these exploitation tasks. So what it should do is basically take an idea. I think what we want it to do is we want it to speculate, like, hey, given the information here and what was found, speculate on potential exploits on the web server. Actually, hold on. So since we're giving it breadcrumbs, let's look at try hack me. So getting a shell. Find a form to upload and get a reverse shell and find the flag. So I want to try and actually, rather than just telling it to straight up, hey, you're going to go exploit the web interface, I kind of want to keep it a little bit more simple. Or a little bit more generic and say, hey, suggest potential exploits in here. Yeah, I do want to do. Now, one thing I just realized I didn't do is over here in our tasking. I think I just realized something. I don't think when I added that task into the task list here. Okay, so the exploit task is run. Yeah, the last one we had was use GoBuster to find the hidden directories. Well, we'll fix that. Back in directories, what is the hidden directory? Oh wait, hold on. Actually, we already had that in there. So that wasn't there from the get-go. Find the... Hold on. So why are we only showing 4 tasks in here? Task initializer 0, 1, 2, 3. Wait, am I losing my mind here? I think that might have been... I forgot, we can actually see it right here. Okay, this is weird. Alright, so actually we need to step back and do a little bit of debugging, because that 4th directive was in here. Or the 5th directive. So first one was scan the target for a number of ports open, identify the version of Apache, what service is running on port 22, use GoBuster, and then we had find the hidden directory, find a form to upload and get remote code execution from a shell. That's weird. So here's our user input. Hmm. That's really odd. I wonder why that didn't show up in here. Because it's showing up here. I'll tell you it's just because of that space there. There's no way. Hang on. So there is one simple way we can actually come back through and check this. Let's go dig through the trace real fast. Yeah, there we go. So our actual initial input was, hey, it should have had this in here. Yeah, there it is. So it's actually, it was part of the language model call, but where's the output here? Let's see. That is really weird. It did assign it to the exploit agent, but then like we come down here to recon. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think that's okay. I think I see the issue here. This is multi-turn. I was looking back at the first turn because I didn't create a new thread. That's what it was. So if we come over to tasks, see we do. It's so weird. That's fine. I'm going to make a new thread here because I needed to run through it anyway to get a new base state for the exploitation agent. I'm going to let this run again. Yeah. Error found, edge ending at unknown node, load pickle. What? Oh, so there's something actually up with the exploitation agent. That's what's going on. Oh, for some reason, we never added the load pickle node. There we go. Maybe I accidentally, like, deleted it when I was futzing around with it. Or API overloaded. Fearful. There we go. All right, now we'll let this run again. Just to make sure this is nice and clean. Okay, let's double check something. I think it's in here. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, so for some reason the data pickle did not save. So what we're doing, by the way, for anybody who's unaware, so what we've done is we've saved the state table as a pickle file. So what should happen here is I think every time it comes back to Stinger. Yeah, there it is. So every time it comes back to Stinger, when it actually hits the Stinger handoff, it will come over to this and it will save the pickle. I think that's actually, come to think of it, this actually might put us into a really bad loop. We'll find out. Oh, so okay, so it did have that final directive in here, so that's good. Enum should be running GoBuster right now. Yep, so it's doing that GoBuster brute force. That's the one that takes the longest time, and that's actually where one of the LangChain features comes in super handy. You're trying to figure out like why your agent's taking forever to run. We look at this previous run here, right? We see GoBuster takes 180 seconds to run. So it's taking like 3 minutes. The overall run for this was, let's see. Also, if you're curious, there's the price breakdown. It costs about, I don't know if those are cumulative or not, but it looks like it takes about, I don't know, 10 cents every time we run Stinger right now. So, I mean, it's not too bad. I wonder why it still says this one is running, though, because this one is completed. Yeah, so it's running the GoBuster brute force. So when it hits that exploit agent, what sucks is I just realized I don't know if that pickle file is ever going to actually finish updating, because kind of here's what's happening. Right, if we just zoom in so you can see it a little bit, what's going to happen is it's going to hit that exploit agent, and then I don't think it ever actually returns because the exploit agent's not completed yet. So I think from load pickle, there's an implicit end in there. And see, it's weird. It's like even like the individual handoff nodes, like this recon handoff, it's showing that it flows to end, but it doesn't. They always flow back to Stinger in here. Hopefully there's a way we can massage this to get that to not do. But that's a small problem. I'm not worried about that right now. Alright, so Enum's still running GoBuster. That's fine. Let's see here. Let me go up to this load pickle fast. Yeah, I think what's going to happen though is because of the way the checks work, and we're not addressing any of the tasks, we're going to hit Stinger. And Stinger's going to keep we're going to get stuck in a loop between Stinger and Enum, I think. Yeah, I just realized that. So the reason... Oh. Yeah, I see what's happening. Okay. So what's happening here is I'm an idiot. And let me explain how I'm an idiot. So what happens over here in exploit agent is the very first thing it does is go to load pickle. But pickle doesn't actually check the status of the state table when this happens. So what it should do is, when we, like for here, we're doing it in the handoff, right? We actually should copy this code here and then do a check over the exploit agent. So for the load pickle, we need to have an if-else statement happening here. So, because what's happening is the new pickle is, or the new state is coming in, and then exploit agent is just immediately squashing it and loading the data from last Saturday and just BTFOing the state table. So we need to un-BTFO it. Shut up, baby. I know it. Let's see here. So we need to do a quick check on this. One of the easiest things to do is, since it's taking in the state table, we just check what the current task is. If we check the state table and the current task isn't like -1, we can do that. Let's see. Yeah, So let's do that. So we'll do if state and what we want to do is current task. If it equals -1, then what we want to do is we want to load the pickle file. We'll take both of those, we'll indent them up. Let me put a note here. Load pickle from disk. Else what we'll do is we're going to update the pickle. Oh, do I need to? Oh, yeah. That's fine. We'll put a note here. It's like update the pickle. We get on disk. Let's see. Pickle state table. Disk. There we go. Okay. Now it will make. Now I get why it looks so odd in there. It's because what happened is I forgot over in the Stinger agent, we needed this directive to come in, right? So hold on. So let's take a look at it real quick before we hit the exploitation agent, right? What's the last thing we have happen? We hit the Stinger agent. If we view the state here, current task is 4. That's the index in the list, right? We go to the task list, you look at task 4, that's an exploit task, right? Bam, it happens. Well, the only thing the exploit agent currently does is have one node. That's why it doesn't look like these other ones here. Yeah, this one's got like that little node icon, or that little graph icon. It's just one node here. But it's just squashing it with what was on disk. All right. Third time is a charm. Let's squish that down. Oh, actually, this is good, though, because I want to change this, though. I don't want it to say from find a web form and get remote code execution. Let's do... let's define possible exploits. Find possible exploits for code, to get code execution. All right, let's see about this, because we need to actually structure this in a certain way. All the tasks are designed to have like a question they're answering. What version of Apache is running? What service is running on port 22? Use GoBuster to find the hidden directories. What is the hidden directory? That's the question. Which exploit was successful? Okay. So, fortunately, I got to run this again. Give it like 3 minutes to run through here. You're overloaded again, aren't you? Do it again. So the problem is I've been meaning to do like a try catch around those language model calls to check if it's overloaded, and if it is, back it off for like 5 seconds and then have to go try it again. But it's not exactly sure how I want to wrap that. Because the actual call to doing this, we come over to Stinger. Like in this case, it was happening on the initializer, right? So what's happening is we're invoking our language model that we specified, right? So we have a base language model that says, hey, by the way, here's the configuration for the language model. It comes in here and says, okay, well, now I'm going to make a modification to it. So now we can do a structured output for the task list. And then we're going to get the response by invoking that. And we send it the prompt we massaged up here. All good. But this is actually the part right here where it has to go get massaged. And so I'd like to just leave this as a single line where we can just say, hey, by the way, we're just going to run this. I suppose what we could do is make a function in there and the function has the try catch where we pass in the language model. I believe this is going to be a runnable. Yeah, it's going to return a runnable. That's what it's going to do. And a runnable is kind of like a base unit of execution inside of LangGraph. All right, let's see here. Actually, I kind of like that idea. These nuts are runnable. Laughing. Laughing. Ha ha. I forget who it was. If you ever see Hate Handles in chat, he's one of the mods, but he's taken a long-term break from Twitch. He used to stream on Twitch too, and I got him one day really good because he was going through and doing some hacking stuff. He would do cybersecurity streams as well, and couldn't figure out how to get a certain tool to work. And I was like, oh yeah, you need to apt-get Ligma. He's like, what is Ligma? I was like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. So while that's running, exploit agent should be good now. We actually start taking a look at this again. So we're going to come through, we're going to find a task. So we'll come look at the host real fast. I think we made an extension to the host, didn't we? Yeah, so initial access exploit. So what we'll do is whenever we do the pre-flight check, what we're going to have to do is basically just check, hey, is this initial access exploit been used anywhere? So that's what one thing we need to do is modify this logic a bit. So let's come double check it and walk through it real fast. So first thing we do is check the current task, make sure the current task is assigned to exploit. Let's see. Oh, if it's not assigned to exploit, then what we do is we run the get new task function that we made. Pass in the state of tasks, we go get it, and we set that to the current task. Then, what we'll do is we're going to check the state table for the current task, make sure it is now assigned to exploit. So it's kind of redundant here, right? This seems like a little bit of redundancy. I should clean that up. Yeah, it's working. We'll leave it for now. Let's see. So if the task is working, that's cool. We're going to extract a task string, whatever the target IP is from that task. And then we're going to append to our context. Yeah. Our host target IP. Let's see. So our agent message, then we're going to say, hey, we're reworking our task. And then we're going to check again. If the current task is validated, or if it's a new task, then what are we going to do? We're going to say, hey, by the way, is the task validated? If it is, we're going to get a new task again. Run through this. Current task equals -1. Then we're going to say, hey, no tasks were marked for execution. Because if I remember correctly, get new task. Yeah, it returns the index. Let me make a note here on this. Get index to the first new task. Returns -1. No task. Make a note of that. Alright, so we extract all of our information here. Okay, this is actually the part we need to modify, the pre-flight check. So if it hasn't had a pre-flight check, what we're going to do is we're going to say if the current task target IP exists in the state table, Actually, we don't even have to do the validator for pre-flight check. We can actually modify this because we're not going to send it to the validator. And what's the difference here? Like, if we come over to recon, right? In the recon table here, rearrange this because it's a little squished. So the validator job is to make sure that, hey, our tool calls actually answered the task, right? So, for example, if we come over here, we make a tool call, we format the output, we update that data into the host, and then we had the validator say, hey, by the way, with the tool output, can we answer the question? Can we solve the task? So, we come up here. So we are going to have a validator, but it's going to work in a different way. I think instead for now, what it's going to do is we're just going to have it check and say, hey, by the way, over here in the host state, do we have initial access exploit code? So if this is not set, do I have that? Get stub host. Let me go look at this real quick. Because I don't know if I actually added that field to it. Oh, yeah, we did. Excellent. Yay, thanks, past me. All right, so if we don't have initial access payload, then we're gonna call it that. Let's see. Actually, I guess we should go ahead and send it to the ballot. Let me think about this. So exploit's job is to just evaluate and make sure that that payload. So the question is here: do we have it actually go through and validate that the initial access exploit works right here, or we just tell it, hey, if we have an initial access exploit, then we're good. I think we can go ahead and handle that in the validator, though. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because the validator could actually implement this code. So I'm going to leave this kind of as it is for now. In the validator, we can check, hey, by the way, do we have an initial access exploit? So I'll leave that for now. Down here, it says, by the way, if we don't have any information about it, we're going to create a stub host on it. Which would be weird because by the time you get to exploitation, there should not be... exploit's going to have the ability to send cats back. I think this actually should just return from here. Because if it's telling us, hey, we need to go exploit a target, and we don't have any data on the target, I'm trying to think ahead also. Like, hey, if we're in an Active Directory environment, and let's say we've got domain admin credentials, right? And then so now it gets the task of, oh, we need to pivot to another machine, or it has some kind of super user credentials, right? It needs to pivot to another machine. It says, hey, by the way, we have credentials for that. We can go check it. But in its current iteration, that's obviously overkill. Right now, it's designed to work on one host. We're going to add multi-hosting to it later. And the reason why I'm saying this is there should be no reason to get a stub host from this. By the way, rocking the green Jocko tonight. I know you can't see it because of the green screen, but I am, and it's tasty.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Hey, Frozen, did I ever show you where I got that ant bite? It was right there on my finger.
Can you see it?
Actually did get an ant bite there. We get some pretty wicked fire ants in Texas, and I forget what I was doing, and I got bit right there on the knuckle. So of course I made full advantage of that. I'm at the dinner table, and like look at my sister-in-law, and I'm like, "Hey, did I show you my ant bite?"
That doesn't work, laughing. No, you're forcing the joke now.
How about you ant bite these nuts?
No.
Cookie Monster's got a bite for you. That's because Cookie Monster loves me, because I'm so sweet. All right, all this stuff works for here. How do I want to do this? I'm worried that my topmost monitor is dying. Maybe it's the cable I'm using. I don't know. But I've got 4 monitors on this computer. I've got ultra wide, I have 2 verticals, and I've got 1 more up top. And the one up top keeps flickering on and off every 5 minutes. And I'm like, I hope this monitor's not done. Let's see. All right, let me take a look at the notes here and think about this, because we need a place to store this exploit task data. Let's see, verdict, subtask, be like, hey, these are the things we need to validate to see if this actually works. Primitive, I can leave off for now. That's kind of optional. Target IP and then output. Because what I want to do is I want to eventually have a list of these in here. Let me look at the task list. So what do we have? We have tools, output, targets, and we have answers. So we'd have to actually go expand the task structure for this if I wanted it to all match. Unfortunately, once we massage this, either of these, I gotta go through and repickle it. I have to redo the pickle. Question is, where's the best place to handle this? So do we make the exploitation task part of the individual task or part of the stinger state? I'm a little bit more partial to modifying the task itself. What happened there? There we go. Let's see here. Task ID. That's going to be an integer. And then I want to have a status on this. Yeah. Who's going to be a literal? In fact, this is going to mirror the task status here. So copy this, drop it in. I don't have to worry about the agent. We want a verdict to happen here. This would be another literal. Hey, April, what's up, man?
Lost the monitor last year. It was going into standby, then turned off and was not interactable for a couple of minutes, not even using the buttons on the side. So this behavior would happen even when disconnected from the PC. Oh, that sucks, man. This is a very old Dell monitor, and so it wouldn't shock me if it's dying, but also the HDMI cable that I'm using for it is a little bit janky. And it's because I needed a longer cable because this computer, the computer's over here, the monitors are over here. It's a pretty decent run, especially whenever I stand the computer up, when I move the desk up into standing position. So I need to have lots of extra slack in the cables for that reconfiguration. Hang on one sec, guys. Be right back. All right, I'm back. One of the neighbor kids was at the door because they had lost their ball in the backyard. And they're like, "Can we come get our ball?" I was like, "Go ahead, dudes. Just don't mess with the chickens." My son lost a monitor. Let's just say he was wearing VR goggles. He's older now, so he had to buy another. Oh, dang. Wait, did he lose the VR goggles, or what happened there, Frozen? Or did he do like the usual thing we always see in the VR videos where somebody like accidentally punches themselves in the face? Hey, Onward, what's up, man? I know, I've got a I think trusting my ears, the BGM is doubled. Oh, it does. So if you listen to like what level the background music's at now, let's say it's right about here. And as I stop talking, the background music picks up. So it's got a ducking filter put onto it in OBS. Let's see here. So one thing we'll need to do is, okay, let's finish this up. So what would bird at? Bird would be, I guess, exploitable, and we'll say non-exploitable. Hey, Colt, what's up, man? Hey, Chris. No, you're good, dude. By the way, congrats on finishing your CEH, Chris. Woot woot. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Hang on one second. Project's coming along good, man. We're at a part where we're at probably what is going to be the single hardest agent to deal with, and that is the exploitation agent, because it's going to have to handle a lot of trial and error. So the trial and error portion that's what I was working on right here. So hang on, let me bring this up real fast. The idea here is that there's going to be a separate task type. So we have like our general task that happen in here. The tasks that get assigned to the exploit agent we're going to expand this a little bit, but there's also going to be able to hold what's called an exploitation task somewhere in here. I'm going to extend it right now as we're talking, but it'll have these different ideas here where now exploit tasks can have different subtasks associated to it. And then in those subtasks, it can have ideas of things to come try. I have to renew my Sec Plus cert again. I hate paying for this stuff. Yeah, I have. I got my CISSP. Holy crap! Come to think of it, I think I got it in 2015. No, has it really been 10 years? Dang. And I have been renewing that thing and paying for it. I don't think I've ever gotten anything for having got my CISSP. Yes, I'm a current CISSP, but it's just alphabets at the end of my name right now. I think after this time, your work experience is more important. That's what I tell people, Colt, is that the certifications, the ratio I stick to is they're about 80% whenever you're coming into a specialization, particularly like in security, and then they only account for like 20% after you've been in for a while. Really, it's just your body of work and your work output that matters the most as time goes forward, and that's really true with any field. But security is my specialty, so that's what I thought. My master's program waives an elective if you have a CISSP, but I decided that wasn't worth it. It wasn't, man. Now, granted, actually, one of the main reasons I got that CISSP is because when we got married, my wife had just started a master's program, and I mean legit just started it. We got married on a Saturday. We left for our honeymoon that Sunday. We came back the following Sunday. She started her master's program on Monday. And so I was like, I've got plenty of time and I've already been in study mode. I had just graduated from college. So I just kept that trend going. I switched into study mode for the CISSP and just knocked it out. I've already got a job. I'm just trying to keep it up in case of layoffs or something. Yeah, there's really two types of CISSPs though. If you're thinking about doing that, there's the technical and the non-technical ones. And the technical guys you can tell there's a big difference between those two. What's up, Dante? Happy Saturday, man. Oh wait, I wasn't working over here. I was working over here. All right, so the verdict will be exploitable, not exploitable, subtask. That's what we need. Now the subtask, I thought about actually making this a list of this needs to be a list of other types of tasks. Verdict. Yeah, I want to try. Let me think about something like this. I'm going to change the verbiage here to make this valid or invalid. Because I'm thinking that if I make this actually a list of itself, I don't know if this is actually going to work. I don't know if you can self-list in here. Exploit tasks. I guess you can. Can you? I don't think you can. It's like you can't self-reference. Damn it. Okay. All right, let me back that change up then. We'll change it back to exploitable and not non-exploitable. It's got to my attention that I've forgotten to eat for a bit, so I'm gonna go grab some McNasties. Dude, don't do the McNasties, no. There's a reason why it's called McNasty. Although, I'll tell you all a funny story. So, my mother, obviously, thankfully, I have a decently sized family, right? I've got 3 brothers, had a sister, she passed away in September. And so me and my other brothers have been kind of dividing and conquering, taking care of my mom now. And so my oldest brother, has been taking her food and stuff and brought her some like really nice Mexican food. We had great Mexican food in Texas. And apparently it was too nice because she didn't want to eat it, and then later sent my other brother who lives with her to go get like some Taco Bueno burritos. Like just some cheese burritos. Code's beautiful, not gonna lie. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm trying to make it fun. And it is fun actually. But I'm also trying to make it workable and extensible so later we can do more with it. I cannot wait till eventually this gets to the point where we can turn it on against something like Game of Active Directory. That would be legit. Alright, so what we could do here. Dang it. So the problem is these filter from the top down, right? So I can't make this like a list of tasks, for example. I can't say like this is a list of tasks, right? Because it's going to say, hey, we have an unresolved reference to task because task is down here. So it's kind of annoying that Python does enforce this where it's like top-down inheritance, because I would prefer to have these structured a little bit differently. Have like the encompassing one up top. So for example, I'd rather have Stinger state here at the top of the list, and then all the things that fill in the gaps for Stinger below it. This is not how it works. It's like the Little Caesars pizzas. It's like, is it good? No, it's hot and it's ready. I used to live on those things, man. Back in the day when I was living with my roommates and teaching martial arts, that's what I would do is after I got done teaching, because I wouldn't get done until like 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'd grab one of those on the way home and just crush that whole pizza. I regret this now, in the current state of my body. But at the time, it was $5. Let's see. All right, so, dang it. I need a list of some kind of task. You know what I'm gonna do? Wait. Mini task. We don't need a pre-flight check for this. We don't need... We can leave the status as is. We can take out the agent. We could leave tool and output there as well. Same thing with target IP. And then the answer, which would be a task answer. And then what we could do now is, this is going to be a list of mini tasks in here. This is going to get deep real fast, isn't it? Because after we've got the exploit task done, I gotta find somewhere in the task list to stick it. 80. I would say we could stick it on the host. But this is more like logging data. The host data should be stuff like we have actually confirmed and is there and we want to keep. Laughing, it also reminds me of the idea where people are like, I'm gonna have a taco salad. Like, is it healthy? It's a salad, isn't it? Oh yeah. Not sponsored by Jocko. Yet. Even though you can't even see the Jocko label because it's just, you know, look, see that? It's just mirrors all the way through. It's perfect chroma green. I'm not gonna say where I think you could stick it. It's all right. We understand the intrusive thoughts here, Chris. All right, so let me see. So we got a mini task. Subtask is going to be a list of those mini tasks. We did want the target IP. Do we need the target IP in there? Let me see. I don't know if we need that for the mini task or not. But actually, I do need that here, we do need a target IP on the exploit task. We do want that. Let's see, task ID. Let me put a note here. This is index reference to the Stinger state task list. We'll just say state task list. Apparently I can't spell reference. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll have a task ID. We'll determine what the status is. It's a new working or validated. We're going to render a verdict on the overall exploit task. And so to get exploitable, we'll have to make sure these subtasks are validated. Target IP. See, in our mini task, we'll have a list of the outputs here. But yeah, actually, I think we want to duplicate this. There we go. So we'll duplicate that here too. So we'll have a list of the tools and the output. Got it. Okay. I think this will work. Now the question is, where do we put this sucker? By the way, whoever's spamming the heart button on YouTube, I appreciate you. I just see the hearts clicking up like crazy. Let's see here. I don't want to put that in the tool. I think that... dang it, I had to expand this. Hey, Ernesto, what's up? It's my fidget toy. Nice. Hey, Band, what's up, dude? All right, hey, let me ask y'all a question on this, guys. So I'm thinking about expanding to where streams will also go onto x.com, formerly known as Twitter, right? I still call it Twitter. But I'm considering I got two ways to do this. One is I could just plug it into OBS and I could have the chat set up on the side like I do now. Or I could go with something like Restream and we could actually have like a combined chat from all the platforms up here. Do you guys care about seeing the combined chat? For me, it's never been I never really follow the chat whenever I'm like actually watching a streamer. And so I'm going back and forth and thinking about this. It's a split decision right now. Ernesto's like, yeah, I want to see. Let's see. All right, because I've been thinking about messing with Restream for that purpose, and probably have the chat like up here somewhere, just running through. Let me see. Let me think about how this is going to run through. So the idea here is, let's pull up the on how this is going to, how the agent should run through this, and where we're actually going to need to make the language model calls. Yep, that's not what I want to do. There it is. All right. So what had happened was, so we should have in our state table, we're going to have a list of our tasks, right? So in the task list down here, somewhere nested under a task, so let's just say task 0 for a number to put in here, we're going to have the exploitation tasks, or the exploit tasks. So one thing we'll probably want the exploit agent itself to handle here is we'll want that agent to create the task based on the parameters in the initial task. All the kids are doing it. Ernesto, that's the perfect reason I've ever heard to do anything. Peer pressure. I mean, that's... Actually, I do. I've been having to teach Agent Zero. For anybody who's new, Agent Zero is my oldest son. He's 6 years old. I've been having to teach him about that. Because some of the stuff he does is just wild. And he's like, and he gets the impression that other people are doing it, so he kind of wants to follow along. It's so funny because he's kind of simultaneously a leader and a follower. He's a leader in that when he starts doing something, everybody wants to follow him, and when he starts seeing other people do something, he wants to go follow them. It's kind of funny, but I've been having to have that conversation with him because some of the stuff he does is wild. Let's say, for example, my son, Agent Zero, and 2 of my nephews, they went ATV riding today out at a park. Father-in-law took them. They had a great time, but the oldest of them decided to go riding like right away. The youngest one decided he didn't want to go riding, so then Zero didn't want to go riding. But after he got left alone for a while, he's like, "Oh, this is kind of boring." So then he decides he wants to go riding. And I was like, "Dude, if you want to go riding, it's fine. Just because he didn't want to go riding doesn't mean you didn't have to. You could have done it. It's fine." Oh, I put out right and said, "Hey, question." The question band was, "Do you care about seeing chat on the stream?" Because I'm considering adding in a third streaming option, which would be on x.com, and adding in Restream for that. I don't know why, but for some reason, a lot of tech streamers just seem to get a huge amount of traction on Twitter. And so I was considering adding that. And the question was, do you even care about seeing the chat on the screen? Because the one good thing about Restream is it will show you, like, hey, where the chat came from. Came from the red site, the purple site, or the blue site. Peer pressure is a good reason. I better go after the EJPT and the CISSP, because why not? No, peer pressure is a crap reason. Or have a chat button here. Oh, to like relay the messages between them? I could possibly do that. There is a Discord, Ernesto, and I'm not streaming on Discord just because it doesn't quite work very well. You can't set up what's called a RTMP stream to Discord. It just doesn't work. It would surprise me that if there are bots that already do it, band. In fact, I know there are, yeah, because I've seen them too. I suppose that could be another option there. Yeah, because here, I'll show you real quick. So we have infinite blaze pop up here. That off. Bring this down here. So what happens is Twitch is actually the setup as the primary streaming platform here on OBS, and then I've added YouTube over here so I can just pop it in. And right now the chat is already handled by StreamerBot over here, but it doesn't support X for some reason. So instead, I was thinking about potentially stripping out some functionality from StreamerBot and adding in X. I think in new OBS you can get rid of the infinite blaze effect. I am afraid to update OBS because when I did, a bunch of my buttons disappeared. And I've heard so many horror stories from folks that OBS will... OBS, once it's running, don't update it because then all your shit will break. Dang it. It's doing really good too. We are 1/5 of the way in the swear jar to getting done. Okay. All right, so coming back to this. So somewhere in this task list, we've got to store the exploitation tasks. Which really, if this is a task set for the exploit agent, this is supposed to just be a list of strings, though. We could modify this without breaking it. How nasty would this be? What I'm thinking is, what if we take this exploit task and we stuff it here into the tools list, right here? Would that be like horrendously disgusting? So the options I can see from my limited coding experience, like I said, because like I said, this whole one of the big objectives for this project was for me to learn how to be a better developer from scratch. Reading and modifying code, working in offensive security, you get very good at that in many languages. Writing from scratch is a completely different story. So this project was also for me to help become a better code developer. So the question is, should we take this exploit task and just stuff it down here into this tools list and then work off of that? Or maybe even down here into the output? Because it's just expecting a dictionary, which this would be. Actually, I think it doesn't. I think it does recognize dictionary and typed dictionary as different items. But there's a small change we can do that. Type dictionary. Boom. My intention was grabbed with the verb stuffing, so I endorsed this live stream. Actually, I think that's not a horrendous idea, because here's what I'm thinking. If the exploit task, really there could be multiple exploit tasks happening in here, right? Think about this. Let's pull this back up real quick. So the idea was to do what I was calling speculative tasking. So the exploit agent, it can create tasks to explore exploit paths, create an exploit path stepper. Now, this was actually not necessarily true. One thing I was thinking was, hey, go get a list of, and Band actually gave me this idea, go over to IPSec's site, because I think he's got a write-up on just about every single box that Hack the Box has ever released. And basically scrape it out, pass it through a series of language model calls, and then have it develop what I would call like these primitives in here. And so these primitives would be like, hey, we did a port scan, we discovered a web server, we did a directory brute force. From that, we found a page that had a file upload. And then there we found an LFI, which gave us code execution, and we handed it off to Mythic. So the idea here was to do this kind of speculative tasking where we can ask the language model for ideas based on the information we send it about the host. Hey, this is all the data we've gathered on the host. Can you suggest exploits and what would be the most likely, and rank them from least to most likely to least likely? APT, what's up, brother? Happy Saturday. I think this isn't necessarily a bad idea. And actually, yes, I love this idea, because here's what we could do. Over here in tool, the tool could just be, like, we just call it like exploit 1, exploit 2. And then that could map here to the output. So string exploit 1 kind of maps over to the first object in the array here. And in this case, it would be this exploit task, because the exploit task then has a list of subtasks in it, which is this stripped down version of the regular task class. Music's playing twice. Did that fix it, APT? Yep, it's because I had the desktop audio still turned on. I need to fix the macro for when the stream boots up. Yep. So what was happening is you were hearing it from the stream, and then it was, because I hear it here, right? I wanted to make sure it's still playing, it doesn't die. So you're hearing it from two different audio sources, one from the actual player on OBS, and the other one from the desktop audio. Dang it. All right, I'll have to adjust that macro. Because I've got one that basically boots up and sets all the settings in OBS for the start of the stream. But I haven't changed it for the audio settings. #1 audio engineer. Yes, I am pro streamer. This is a professional stream. Very professional. I like this idea, though. All right, let me drag this over so I can make a modification here. This is... output formatted tool call output. Actually, here, this is the one I need to mark. This is Formatted tool output for exploit task. In fact, if I wanted to be really explicit with this, I could just change this that it takes these two types in here, an exploit task. So it can take a generic dictionary from the output formatter or an exploit task. Actually, yeah, that kind of works right there. Tools used for completing the task. Yeah. I think that will work just fine. And of course, I say that, and then I'm going to try and start coding around it and realize I have no idea what. All right, let's see about. I'm going to copy this from the recon agent as well, setting up the recon. So yeah, what we did is we grabbed what our exploit. Let's do it. Change this over here. So this is not going to be our recon. It's going to be our exploit suggester prompt template. That's what we're going to do. And now what we'll need to do is we'll have to go make a new prompt for that. And we'll say our exploit suggestion. So our exploit suggestion prompt is going to be, change that. Oh, don't do that. Yep. Let's go right here. All right. So we haven't built this function yet, which would be our, instead of recon, this will be exploit suggestion prompt template. So I guess let's go build out that prompt fast. Let's go over here. Let's see, where is our recon? Let's go ahead and set, drag this up. Let's check that. Okay, so for our system prompt is, actually I can use some of this. You are a cybersecurity, an expert cybersecurity agent specializing in finding exploits for initial access to a target. Your primary job is to... Okay, yeah. Actually, let's go ahead and take out the rest of this real fast. All right, so your primary job is to... We're going to analyze it. We'll say the host data and... We'll just say target. Yeah, analyze the target data and speculate on exploits that could be investigated. Let's see, so we don't want to give it, we do want to give it a task, right? Let's see, your primary job is to Analyze target data to complete the following task. To complete the task and speculate on exploits that could be investigated. Say that. Let's see what we need. So we'll pass in the task, we'll pass in the context, which would be our host. Really, we only got two things in here. We have our target and we have our task. So we'll just change this to our target. And what this will be is that target will be the actual object for the host, and then we'll pop that sucker in there. Actually, instead of investigate, that could be viable. We'll say that. And actually, we want to change this. It's not going to be this action and reasoning response here. Actually, we could do this rather than. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to suggest 3 potential exploits. Actually, let's do that. Let's tell it. Let's see. Previous exploit attempts may have occurred. May have. I would spell it with 2 C's. May have occurred, and their output is provided in the context. I don't like the way that's written. We change this back. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time massaging their prompts. I want to say, I'll just say this: context may be provided for previously failed exploit attempts. Previously. Get back here. There we go. All right, so you're an expert cybersecurity agent specializing in finding exploits for initial access. Actually, we'll just say initial access to a target. So your primary job is to analyze the target data, complete the task, and speculate on exploits that could be viable. Actually, we'll change this a bit. It's to analyze the target data and the task. Yeah, let's re-massage this a bit. We want to exploit the. Oh God, what am I doing here? Analyze the task and target data. There we go. To speculate on exploits that could be viable. All right, there we go. Your primary job is to analyze the task and target data to speculate on exploits that could be viable. Additional context may be provided for previously failed exploit attempts that could be modified or avoided. There we go. All right, so response form. We want. Let's see. Let's actually just do one more. This needs a new line. I'm gonna say is actually I don't even care. What I want is imagine if there was a swear jar he could fund his black hat trip. There is a swear jar, but the swear jar is whenever I cuss, and then when it hits every like unit of 50, I go donate $50 to charity to try and help incentivize myself to stop swearing so much. Let's see here. Go ahead and throw a new line in there. So let me think about this. So we wanted to analyze the task and target data to speculate on exploits that could be viable. Additional context may be provided for previously failed exploit attempts that could be modified or avoided. Got it. And maybe just like helping the less fortunate. I do like helping the less fortunate, but you know what? If you're going to try and improve yourself, why not make it a double whammy? I'm all about min-maxing, right? So what is it they say? You know, do something that sucks every day. So I try to go do the cold tub every day because it sucks, but also it has a lot of health benefits. So I'm min-maxing, getting the most from the minimum effort. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Rather than action. What do I want to tell this here? What I want to do is have it. Actually, let's just tell this. Let's just make this exploit. This is going to be the exploit to attempt. The exploit path to be investigated. And the reason for exploit. There we go. I think that'll work. So what we're going to tell it is we wanted to analyze this data we're giving it. Tasks, target, and we actually will need one more section down here. We'll need the context brought back. This will be context. This will be context, and this will be context. So this is going to take in 3 different ideas. Let's see. So this takes in unpluralize that. Let's see. It takes in task, target, and context. So this is our exploit agent prompt to let's call it speculative exploitation. Yeah, I think this will work. And I know this is a little bit funky. Oh, this shouldn't be get recon. This should be exploit suggestion. I need to change the name. There we go. To say just suggest exploits. Originally, I was thinking it would return like 3, like, hey, what's the top 3 here? I think I need to import that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need to import that. But instead, what I'm thinking is we'll have it just grab an exploit, and then if an exploit fails, what we'll do is we'll take the data about that exploit attempt that failed, we'll throw it into the context, and we'll say, hey, give me something else. Or make a modification to it that we could hopefully avoid this in the, for the next iteration. I think that will work. We'll find out. Okay, so this will be our exploit suggestion prompt. In fact, I probably will break this out into a different node, come to think of it. This is in the exploitation agent, right? I do want some stuff to happen inside the exploitation agent. However, I think what I want to do is, let's kind of graph this out a bit. Back to the graph. Back to the graph again. Oh, there goes exploitation. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm not a rapper. So what I'm thinking is we'll have the start node, and then this will come in. Yeah, we're going to immediately hit the agent in here. So we'll come down, we'll hit the X agent. That's going to hit there. We got a little detour for pickle over here right now. I'm just going to put this in here so I don't forget about it. And the pickle is actually in there for testing purposes. Once we get the agent where it kind of runs correctly, not going to worry about that pickle portion. We're going to strip it out. So it's just in there for assisting with quick testing. That way we don't have to run through the entire graph and go wait 3 minutes for it to finish GoBuster. We could actually just run the exploitation agent by itself. Let's see. So from the exploitation agent, I think what I'm going to do is we want to, first thing is pass it down to, let's change this, we'll take this to the exploit suggester. So we'll pass that down to there. And then once we get a suggestion for the exploits, then if we want a tool call, we'll have a tool node here. We'll have our tool node set up over here. So this could potentially route over to the tool node. The exploit suggester, actually, come to think of it, should return a couple different things. So I think what we want this exploit suggester to return is, hey, here's our most likely exploit, or here's the exploit to try. Here's what we need to validate in order to make that work. And we'll see how smart or how dumb it is. If it comes back and it realizes, if it's coming back and saying, hey, basically, here's the exploit, we don't quite know how to make this work. What we might need to do is then go add in something like a search agent to this, where we can say we have tools that say, here's how we could actually go through and perform this kind of exploit. So it can at least distill down the information. Say, this is how we want to do this. I think that might work. I have no clue. We're going to find out. We're going to do what we always do, which is we're going to hack around and we're going to find out. Let me look at something on the roof. Let's see. These words are music to my ears. We need to get you some better music, man. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, hack around and find out. If I ever do a merch store, that's probably what it's going to be. Let's see. Let's change this to, this will be exploit agent. I need to find all the places where we marked the AI agent message and change that. Yeah, that one already got changed. That one was damaged. Okay. Good. Ooh. Oh, there is a typo there. Exploit agent. Which I think I screwed that up somewhere else. Oh, there it is right there. Weird. All right. probably just do something I think that's correct. There we go. Setting up our LLM call. I think I just ate some of the code though when I was doing the copy pasta here. Got Peaches snoring under my desk right now. That's my puppy. Modify a couple of these logging messages. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right, so we need to grab a couple of pieces of information here. So we do have our task string, we have our agent message, but for this we also need the target. We have our context, and let's do our target, which this is going to be going to complain that we don't know what this is. Where's my side scroll? States. See, because this should be a host object. Do I really need to import that? Get stub host. No, I actually don't want to put that in there. I'm going to put in is 1272331. There we go. And so what this is doing is we're saying, hey, by the way, this should be this particular type. Let's see. Dash string. Just got to strongly type in this so that way it's going to help out a little bit later. All right, because what we're going to need to do is once we get all of our data here, we don't want this to actually be true here. What we want to do is we're going to want to append any failed exploit attempts. So if we have any exploit attempts already in the task output, that's what we're going to do here. T-shirt idea for the hacker to find out: a hatchet into a keyboard in front of a monitor. Bonus that the axe is in the monitor sideways, handle horizontal, pointing to the side. I think I'll probably get that. My sister-in-law actually does some pretty good art and runs her own Etsy store. And doesn't get a lot of traction on it, but she does some really cool stuff too. So maybe I could ask her to draw me up something. All right. Look at this real quick, because there's a lot of steps happening in. So what we, in theory, should have happen is when we come through here, the exploitation agent is going to find out what the exploitation task is, do some basic checking for it, and then pass it down to the exploit suggester. The exploit suggester should come through and basically make two LLM calls. Let's mark those in red here. So we'll say LLM1. And this call should be to to get the exploit. And then we'll say LLM call number 2 should be to get the steps. Because to check and see if the exploit is valid, it's going to have certain steps it needs to go through to validate, hey, did the exploitation actually happen? Oh, this agent, this is going to be the hardest one. Even the post-exploitation is, I think, going to be a little bit simpler. It'll be difficult, no doubt. But I think this one, getting the initial access, the initial code execution is going to be the biggest pain in the butt. I like that idea, though, Chris. Just to hatch it into the keyboard. Let's think about this. So we get their exploit prompt. Oh, you know what we need is, let's come through here. So if the task was already validated, it's going to go and it's going to get a new task. So what we need to do is, we don't need to add to the context here. Actually, we do need to add some stuff, but this is not what we need to add, because that's actually going to be our target. Can I do it like that? Yes, I can. Okay. Ooh. There we go. So what I'm doing, because this eventually actually should be like a list of these host objects in here. So we seed it with our initial stub one in here. Actually, I guess, we don't actually have to do that, come to think of it. I don't know why I decided that would be a good idea. String or none. Right, so we need to massage the data before we actually get down to the LLM call. But I'm thinking that we're gonna have to set up our router here a wee bit. Because yeah, what I'm thinking is take this data. Actually, rather than calling this like the exploit suggester, let's see. I think I'm gonna call this the planner. Because what's gonna happen here is I'm actually gonna move this part over here. Like how I fixed that? That's perfect. So the exploit agent will actually figure out, hey, this is what we think the exploit should be, and then it's going to pass it down to the planner. The planner will then figure out what the steps are from this. I'm back. Arteries will be clogged momentarily. Only when you mix those stuff, man. I've actually, I started getting back on a proper eating plan again, doing carnivore again, because that was helping me out a ton. With all the craziness since Elijah's passing, it's been kind of nuts. So, finally get that cleaned back up too. Because man, I was feeling rough. And actually, on Friday, I did I had my normal breakfast, which is bulletproof coffee. Typically, I'll have bulletproof coffee and eggs for breakfast. But I did have the coffee, I skipped over the eggs, and then I did like a 24-hour dry fast. And on top of that dry fast, I spent an hour in the sauna too. So just really trying to draw off a lot of the extra body water that was being stored in there. And I feel a lot better today. Although then I also went and spent 3 hours working outside in the 80-degree heat and 105% humidity or whatever ridiculous value it was here in Dallas. Okay, so what I want to do here let's say this, because we're going to be working down here in this output field. That's what's going to be like one of the main things. So get exploit suggestion prompt. We get this back. So for the exploit prompt, we need 3 things. We need a task, target, and a context. So we have the task, right? So go ahead and add one more here. This will be our target. We have target value right there. Oops, I messed that up. There we go. Hey, Bleed, what's up, man? Do you see this post on branch privilege injection hardware vulnerability? Ooh, I did not. Let me take a look at this real quick. There we go. It was just yesterday that training solo was made public as a new speculative execution CPU vulnerability affecting some Intel and ARM CPUs. Another one's now public, which is branch privilege injection. So this one, injection, comes out of research from a group in Zurich, computer security group. So what it does, it brings back branch target injection attacks like Spectre on Intel processors. Very cool. Dude, I love these ideas on some of these. I never really... Bleed, let me know about this. Have you ever seen these like properly implemented where like a major hack actually happened due to like Spectre or any of the other like speculative execution CPU exploits? They're very cool. Don't get me wrong. They're very hard to implement. Stuff like Spectre, Rowhammer, Rowhammer band. All those other ones. I haven't heard of anybody actually saying like, hey, by the way, we had all of our security in place and we ended up getting popped because they used Rowhammer. It usually never has to go that far. Don't get me wrong. I love this kind of research. I wish I understood it better. I'm scared to hell with any hardware vulnerability since any microcodes won't solve unless there's a hardware recall. Yeah. I mean, there is a way to reflash the microcode on the CPU, but that gets really sketch. Intel started adding that in back when there was a big lawsuit from, I believe it was a physics professor, and there was an error in some of the floating point operations, and it was off by enough to like screw up his physics calculations. Rowhammer might have had some impact in browser stuff, but I don't recall the details. Let's see. So addressing branch privilege injection. Hold on, let me see if I didn't miss something here. Because I kind of want to understand what they're looking at for this. Let's see. The existing Intel Spectre BTI mitigations by Intel can be broken due to a race condition within the processors. So in turn, branch privilege injection can leak arbitrary memory at around 5.6 kilobytes a second on a default Ubuntu install with default mitigations. The researchers uncovered that current enhanced indirect branch restriction speculation and the IBPB mitigations are insufficient, which is a blow to EIBRS, which was this enhanced indirect branch restricted speculation, commonly used on all Intel processors, going back to the Coffee Lake refresh CPU days. Let's see. Intel's developed microcode update for affected processors and provided us with one to evaluate on Alder Lake. We were able to verify that the microcode update stops our primitives that we used in the paper to detect vulnerabilities. Our performance evaluation shows a 2.7% overhead from the microcode mitigation on Alder Lake. We also have evaluated several potential alternative mitigation strategies in software with overheads about 1.6% and 8.3%, depending on the CPU architecture. Hey, Buford, what's up, man? Could potentially be via JS. Yeah, I mean... But even then, it's really, I think, really difficult. I have to do some checking into that because I remember when Spectre came out, I was working at a mortgage servicing company. I was I they were such a rough shop. I don't even put their name on my resume. I just put financial services. And I remember having a big sit down with like a bunch of people because they were running around like their hair was on fire when Spectre and Meltdown came out. And I was like, guys, this is not an issue. Can we please just handle like the baseline stuff, like patching our shit? Dang it. Did it again. So, very cool idea. Like I said, Bleed, I love these kind of exploits. I just don't see them weaponized a lot. Maybe it's because they're kind of tricky to understand. Let's patch good old MS 08067 before we go too crazy. Word. Dude, that place was so sketch. I had the it was really weird because half of like there was about 15% of the IT, maybe 20% in the United States, and the other 80% were split between India and the Philippines. And there was one guy that was like gunning for the CISO position in India and hires a pen test team without notifying anyone. And I mean, he was the only person in the company that knew about this and hired them to come in and do this stuff. And they were a really, really sketch outfit. And the report they gave to me was the most god-awful abomination I've ever seen of a PDF. So one of my primary motivators when I went into offensive security was to never write a report that terrible. Yeah, I laugh. And I was like, if you're hiring somebody, there are multiple people that need to be made aware, even if you're trying to do it black box and you're not letting the defenders know. But their security posture was so low that they should not have been doing any kind of like full-on red team. All right, let's see. Chris asked, any recommendations on prepping for an offer to help someone as a VCSO? So request for resume came via LinkedIn this evening. Want to make sure I'm dialing in my resume well. I don't have a lot of good insight on that, Chris, because CISO is a route that I initially considered taking, but actively avoided once I kind of got the lay of the land. CISO is a really hard position to be in a lot of times because a lot of times you're a C and name only. And for anybody who doesn't know, that's a Chief Information Security Officer. That in theory should be on the level of like the Chief Financial Officer, the CEO, all those guys, right? But in actuality, it's just a step up from like the director of IT. And in reality, that they're given all of the responsibility and none of the rights to affect change and actually improve the situation a lot of times. The CISO turnover rate, last I saw, I think it's come down since then. It's not improved. I think it was 18 months. Like, that's the turnover rate. The average CISO stays in a role for like 18 months and then deuces out. It's like a giant game of hot potato. Everyone realizes that they can't affect change. They can't implement anything. They can't get buy-in from the other C-suite members to affect this change. And then they just basically try to keep it together long enough to flee the ship and let the next CISO come in and then get popped. So it's not on their bag. It's not a great position to be in. Anything goes wrong, it's their fault. Anything goes right, they never get the credit. Yeah, exactly. I think you make a great CSO. No. Absolutely not. Chris, you know I like the curveballs. Good, man. Oh, let me think how I want to structure this sucker. So, we need to go extract the target value, which the target value is... Yeah, so we're going to append from the state table the host the target IP. For the context, what we're going to append is we're going to say context append. This is going to be actually kind of like this right here. We're going to take this path, but instead of the pre-flight check, we're going to take the current task, states, and it's going to be our output, which should be blank. Yeah, formatted tool output or exploit task. Nobody wants to be the CISO of MGM when MGM gets MGM'd. Yeah, right. Nobody wants to be the CISO when you get MGM'd, which if you don't know what that means getting hacked through some IoT device. And on this stream, IoT stands for Internet of Trash. Okay, so we have our task string that gets extracted up here. Perfect. And then we have our target data. We extract the target host information. And then we have our context, which would be, let me put a note here. This would be any previous failed exploit attempts. There we go. Internet of Tokus. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I love my Bloodhound shirt, and so this is, like I said, probably 90% of my wardrobe is IT swag. At least all the shirts are. Pants are a different story. Those are all, 15 years old, and I just don't go buy new clothes unless I'm absolutely running out. Let's see. I think this is good. Hang on, I gotta go run and take care of something. I'll be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Blaze is back. Hello, friend. Yeah, Buford, I had so much IT swag because, especially working as a consultant, like I get a ton of it from all the different companies I work with. And like even my dog leash was IT swag at one point. It was from Extra Hop. Okay, I think this is all good. Now this was our response with LLM with tools, which I don't think we necessarily want to do here. Let's see. Where did we define LLM? Okay, so it gets defined way up here, which is not the case of what we want to do. Let's comment that out. Just gonna break this line here. That's fine, because we're not going to do LLM with tools. Actually, we could... No, instead, actually, I'll take this back. What we're going to do is we're going to do an LLM with structured output. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do the LLM with structured output. Actually, how did I do that before? What did I do that? I'm trying to keep like the same coding standard. Where's this here? Oh, I literally called it LLM with structured output because I'm really original here. Let's see. This is going to be LLM dot. Yeah, with structured output. And the structure of the output we want is an exploit task. And we'll need to go import that. Go. All right, because now what we're going to do, so we're going to have to go modify this just a wee bit. Think about this. Actually, there's a little bit different. So what happens when you do an LLM with structured output? It essentially does a tool call and then extracts a tool call for a single tool and then extracts that output and just returns that output directly to you. That is not necessarily exactly what I want, though. Oreo, what's up, dude? So this is a bit crazy. So you guys know I'm using the wired I'm using the wired earbuds now, right? This is actually running to the microphone here on the back. And what that allows me to do is hear my own voice and also hear ambient noises from across the house. It's crazy how much the shotgun mic picks up. But I've got dampers set up in OBS, so until a certain volume of input is hit, it doesn't trigger. So I hear stuff happening all the time. I hear the vacuum cleaner running. I'm like, crap, is the microphone picking that up? It's taking me a little bit of getting used to. Let me think about that. Yeah, initializer, this works with the structured output. However, that's not what we want here. Yeah, this is not going to work. We don't want it with a structured output. So actually, I'm going to take this out right here. I'm going to decomment this line. But rather than RB tools, because we will need that eventually. We're not going to need it right now, though. What we want is we want this to be an exploit task. So we're essentially doing this. However, we're going to get all the information back plus a tool call. if we did the language model call with just the structured output, all we get back is essentially the dictionary. We get back, that's what we get back. I want to have the message in here as well, though, so we can keep track of it in the message queue. Because if you look at here, as we're going through everything, right, if we come down to like Stinger agent here and we look at input, let me drop all this stuff down. Task. See, we have the messages. It kind of creates like a running list of like, hey, this is what's going on. So our human message to kick everything off says, hey, scan the target. How many ports are open? Here's all the tasks. Our AI agent says, hey, Stinger comes through and says, we're going to pass to recon. We've created a list of tasks we're going to pass over to recon. Recon agent then says, I'm going to start task 0, which is to scan the target. And we get output from there saying, hey, here's everything that's happened and why things were happening. So we have like a running dialogue of all the information that has come up. So if I do it with just the structured output, we can't get that information. Because there's no actual message that comes back. And if I can show you here, over in Stinger, let's see, where's the initializer? Here we go. So we return the order task list. The order task list actually just loops through and arranges them in order of like recon, enumeration, exploitation, post-X, if there's tasks in there. This is all going to change too. This is very, very boilerplate, essentially. But look at this. With our response here, the response comes back and we instantly start working against it. We don't have to actually parse out like, hey, what are the different pieces of this information that we need? So whenever, in fact, here, I'll show you real fast. We come up here. Let's see, if we go to initializer, we give it all this information, the output literally just comes back as the object. We don't get like any of the explanation of how it's processing those tasks. None of the like internal thoughts of how the language model is doing it. Which has been the entire point of why we've got the reasoning built into the prompt, because we want it to explain why it's doing something. So if we need to go massage the prompt, we've got an understanding of why that's happening. I think there's another way in here. Let me look for something. I noticed something in here. I was playing with N8N, and I don't know how you say it. This tool. Very cool tool, very low code if you really want to get down to it on what you can do with these things. I was playing with this on Friday, so I guess yesterday, and it gave me a couple other ideas. It's very different on how it approaches things, but it's pretty cool. Like, hey, we had a form submission. We sent that to the AI agent. We're going to have some memory over in a Postgres chat memory. And by the way, we've got tools for Intro ID and Jira. We say, hey, by the way, is this a manager? We add them to a channel, or we just update their profile. What do we do with this? So lots of cool stuff in here. That's how you can do this. One thing I noticed, though, was the Anthropic chat model, I think, had like a deep think option in there. Anthropic thinking block. Let me see something quick. Because everything in this is currently running on Claude 3.7 as we do this. So as we continue to enhance Claude's complex problem-solving abilities, we discovered a particularly effective approach, a think tool that creates dedicated space for structured thinking during complex tasks, like getting your initial code exploit. So this simple yet powerful technique, which we'll explain below, is different from Claude's new extended thinking capability and has resulted in remarkable improvements in Claude's agentic tool use ability. This includes following policies, making consistent decisions, and handling multi-step problems, all with minimal implementation. Okay, so what's the think tool? Given Claude the ability to include an additional thinking step, complete with its own designated space as part of getting to its final answer. So what sounds similar to extended thinking, it's a different concept. Extended thinking is all about what Claude does before it starts generating a response. Let's see. Claude deeply considers and iterates on its plan before taking action. The think tool for Claude, once it starts generating a response, to add steps to stop and think about whether it has all the information it needs to move forward. This is particularly helpful when performing long chains of tool calls or in a long multi-step conversation with the user. Let's see, this makes the think tool more suitable for cases where Claude does not have all the information needed to formulate its response from the user query alone, and where it needs to process external information, like information from a tool call. So the reasoning Claude performs with Think Tool is less comprehensive than what can be obtained with extended thinking, and it's more focused on new information that the model discovers. We recommend using extended thinking for simpler tool use scenarios like non-sequential tool calls or straightforward instruction following. Extended thinking is also useful for use cases like coding, math, physics, when you don't need Claude to call tools. Okay, so extended thinking, which I knew they added this. The question is it added into LangGraph where we can actually use it? The Think tool is better suited for when Claude needs to call complex tools, analyze tool outputs carefully in long chains of tool calls, navigate policy-heavy environments with detailed guidelines, or make sequential decisions where each step builds on previous ones and mistakes are costly. Doesn't that sound familiar? Let's see, so what's the option here? So name is think, description. Use the tool to think about something. It will not obtain new information or change the database, but just append the thought to the log. Use it when complex reasoning or some cache memory is needed. So how do we actually use this? Let's see. So before taking any action responding to the user after receiving tool results, use the Think tool as a scratchpad to list specific rules that apply to the current request, check if all required information is collected, verify that the planned action complies with all policies, iterate over tool results for correctness. So here's an example, iterate over tool call, Think tool example 1. User wants to cancel flight ABC123, so need to verify the user ID, reservation ID, and reason. Check cancellation rules. Is it within 24 hours of booking? If not, check ticket class and insurance. Verify no segments flown or in the past. Plan, collect missing info, verify rules, get confirmation. User wants to book 3 tickets. So here's another example. User wants to book 3 tickets to New York City with 2 check bags each. So we check membership tier and baggage allowance, which payments. Okay. Now, how are they using this? I like this idea, and I'd like to begin to tinker with it a little bit. Okay, so when not to use the Think tool. Think tool can offer substantial improvements. It's not applicable to all tool use cases. And does come with the cost of increased prompt length and output tokens. Specifically, we have found the Think tool does not offer any improvements in the following cases. Non-sequential tool calls. So if Claude only needs to make a single tool call or multiple parallel calls to complete a task, there are unlikely to be any improvements. Or if there's simple instruction following. So when there are not many constraints on which Claude needs to adhere, and its default behavior is good enough, there's unlikely to be gains from additional thinking. Okay. Let's see. Add tool definitions to implement a Think tool customized to your domain. Let's see if we can find that. Let's see. LangGraph. Actually, this would be over at LangChain. And graphic. Package downloads the latest package. Let's see. Tool calling, structured output. Log probes. Okay, so we're taking. It can take image input. Token level stringing, native async. Okay. It doesn't look like it's got that. Looks like somebody opened an issue for it on March 3rd. So to enable thinking mode in Claude 3.7, use the chat anthropic vertex. Need to pass specific keyword arguments. Interesting. Oh, so there is a chat anthropic vertex in here we might be able to import from. I don't know if this needs to be an updated version of this. Yeah, this is not declared. So we probably need to go update LangChain. Crap, I gotta figure out how to do that in poetry. Let me look at Anthropic Vertex. Wait, isn't Vertex? That's Google's. Yeah. Vertex is, I guess, Google's hosted version of it. The chat anthropic vertex implements a runnable interface. Yep, that's what we'd expect. Yeah, this is Anthropic hosted on Vertex. So kind of like Bedrock, if I remember correct. Google Vertex. Unified AI development platform for building and using generative AI, specializing. Yeah, I think this is Google's implementation of something like Bedrock. We might be able to try something. Take that back out. Hey, Cypher, what's up, brother? Let me look at the configuration here. Hey, man. Yeah, I'm doing all right, dude. I was just working on what was I working on today? Just doing stuff out in the yard. Taking down an old garden, doing some other stuff. Let me try something here. Default thinking. Let me see how he did this here. Yeah, except it was like, I think 80 or 85 degrees and like 900% humidity. It was ridiculous. Model KW args thinking type enabled budget tokens 2020. This is interesting. Let's see. So this parameter now includes thinking to enable chemo thinking. Let me go look at LangChain's chat anthropic real quick. So according to this, we could potentially come here and just throw these model KW arcs into there and enable thinking mode. Let's see here. Think tool. LangChain. All right, so Anthropic Claude thinking tool, structured reasoning process. So user prompt, default approach, think tool approach. User prompt is consider key factors, compare options. Tokyo for unique cultural experience comes back. So benefits, more nuanced answers, shows decision criteria, avoids snap judgment, shows a reasoning path. You have observability into this. When to use. Okay. I want to see if he's just got like an example of the code implementation. All right, so below the code illustrates the two-step process for leveraging Claude's reasoning capabilities by Anthropic's API. Let's see. Just a word on AI agents. So AI agent architecture, a tool typically refers to an external resource or function. Yeah. Common with frameworks like LangChain and Llama Index, where AI agents use tools like external APIs or databases. So is the Claude Think tool an AI agent tool in the sense? No. Think tool is not a tool in the AI agent architecture sense. It's a feature. So Claude Think tool is better described as a feature or mode of Claude's API designed to improve performance on tasks requiring deep reasoning. It's analogous to prompting techniques like chain of thought reasoning, but formalized within Claude's API for developer control. Very cool. Okay, I like this idea because this might be just very timely with what we're trying to accomplish with the exploitation agent, right? Because it's going to have to think about, hey, here's what we think we should exploit, and then here's what we need to validate to see if the exploitation actually happens, right? So in this case, the exploitation should be find the upload form, find the uploads folder where it's probably going to land, and then upload an example web shell for PHP, figure out that, oh, it won't take PHP extensions. We've got to modify it to a PHP 5 extension. And so basically have a workaround or a bypass. And then, so recognize that error because the web form is very handy. It says, by the way, you can't upload PHP. So recognize that, make an alternative approach, and then upload it and then test the web shell. All this stuff we do automatically as we learn and build in deeply. It's so, you don't realize how much you have to think about it until you try to implement it in code. Think tool, LangChain, KWRs. Let me see if anybody's got an example. So according to this guy, you can enable thinking mode, but how you enable the think tool is different. They had an example in the API though. Let me see where that was. So here's a sample implementation using a standard tool specification format that comes from Tbench. Let me look at the developer docs real quick. API reference. Inside here, search for. Oh, this is all inside the prompt engineering. See how they've got this broken down here. So we have a basic chain of thought, lacks guidance on how to think, which is especially not ideal if the task is very specific to your app and use cases. Let's see, guided prompt. So lacks structuring to make it easy to strip out and separate the answer from thinking. And this is pretty much what I've been doing, is structured prompting. Thinking, answer, things like that. So we're kind of already doing that. That's pretty much how the prompts are already kind of set out. Actually, I like the way this prompt is set up. Writing donor emails. It's okay. Guided chain of thought. To draft personalized emails to donors asking for contributions for this year's Care for Kids program. We have the program information, we have donor information. I think that's kind of what we've already been doing. Although now I kind of want to think about this a bit. Well, this is the exploit suggestion, right? And then what we do, we'll do another one here that's like, hey, how are we going to break this down? So hopefully what it should recognize is that let me look at something real fast. The machine expired. That's fine. So what's the hidden directory? We have panel. Getting a shell. So find a form to upload and get a reverse shell. Find the flag. So actually, we should probably split this into 2 different tasks in here. Now, so let's say, like, given this information, so what we had from recon, so we split this into, basically this gets assigned to recon and enumeration. We're going to find it. I think we want to think about maybe tell it to examine the hidden directory in some way, because we have that information, right? If we come back over here, we come down to like the very bottom. And if we look at what our host has, right, we have stuff on 22, but if we look at what we've got in 80, we have some directories found, right? We found JS, upload CS, panel, and server status, right? But we don't have any information here that actually says, hey, what's the contents of these pages? So what we would need the exploitation agent to think about is going and examining these hidden directories. Euler making it rain with pennies. What's up, bro?
Incoming transmission from E_Whaler.
What's up, dude? Think about this. Yeah, because we don't have any information about the panel or uploads. So we need to probably guide it a little bit more. Let me think about this. Actually, let me look at something. Look at nuclei. Nuclei, templates, HTML. Let's see if there's a template for this. because there's a crap ton of nuclei templates. Let me see. Search profile. Let's look for. So that's API jot form. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's a particularly, possibly like a nuclei template that might come in here. No, we are not leak coding nor vibe coding. I'm trying to see if there's a nuclei template in here that might say, hey, we want to go basically spider the site and take a look at it. Let's see, prototypes, screenshots, webpack, dude, post message. What's post message tracker do? Selenium. That's a headless browser, though, isn't it? Selenium. Yeah. I mean, we could potentially use that, ruler. The thing I'm trying to think about is... So we've got it where it currently set up and it finds the hidden pages, right? But the kicker here is, as we're looking at the data that the task that we have currently set up, that what they run through is, it finds all this stuff, right? But it doesn't collect any data about them. So we could tell the exploitation agent, hey, by the way, find a... we could follow this directly, right, from try-hack-me, which getting a shell is... find a form to upload and get a new reverse shell. So there should be more enumeration tasks happening. Because really, oh, let me think about this. If I'm going through and I'm pen testing something, hey, Panty Ringer, thanks for coming online, man. Welcome in. If I'm going through and I'm exploiting something, it's not a linear path, right? There's basically like loops that you run through. How about you enumerate some beaches? Yeah. I already rooted the one that I've got, right? It's like that's done. Let's see. So yeah, so there's a flaw here as I'm thinking about how to build the exploitation agent. That is, there's not enough enumeration occurring. What should happen here is you do recursive functions with fingerprints for forms to match. Well, yeah, I'm trying to keep it more generic, Euler. So like, hey, GoBuster found these potentially hidden pages, right? It found panel and it found uploads. So what should we do with this information? Well, naturally, if I'm doing a security test against this, I'm going to go visit panel. I'm going to go visit pages, and I'm going to get the code and see like, hey, what's going on with it? Selenium, probably once we actually bust this stuff out into like a proper web exploitation specializing agent, yes, Selenium's going to be massively important because of all the client-side rendering from JavaScript that happens. The amount of self-control to avoid interrupting the lab thoughts and discussions by submitting an extremely motivating and supporting Hack the Planet. Gotcha. Watch this. Watch this.
Hack the planet!
Hack. That was a self-hack the planet. Yeah, so I just realized that these guideposts are good, but there's a missing piece here. And that is... maybe that's something we had to consider, is that we could use something like the chain of thought. Yeah, next step would be to crawl, and we know that, but how do we let the AI agent figure that out on its own without like making a direct prompt? What would, because we know like, hey, yeah, if I'm going through and I'm doing a web assessment, I'm going to come through and I'm going to crawl the website. I'm going to take a look at it. Think about this. That could actually be our first step here. Roadhouse. This makes me think of the episode of Family Guy when Peter's just going around kicking everything. Roadhouse. Yeah, actually, what I'm thinking here is let's come look at the diagram. Let's come look at the graph real quick. Is up here in Stinger Agent.
Hack the planet!
House. Roadhouse. That too. That planet. I love that soundbite. I think it's a big risk to go into left field without direct guidance on this part. If it sees something like PHP-MyAdmin, it might go for SQL injection first. What I'm thinking is, actually, once it comes down here to the exploitation agent... Nerd! Shut up, baby. I know it. What we could do is actually have the exploitation agent, as part of the pre-flight check, come through and say, do we have enough information to potentially suggest an exploit for this? If it thinks it doesn't have enough information, then we say, we task it with what other information needs to be provided and return that as a task list. And then we can have it start generating those additional tasks. We then redirect back up to Stinger and let it run through, and we can insert those tasks into the list and let it go through and run. I really do like these in-ear monitors, but they've been my ears itchy. When I'm evaluating people's websites and directory listings, I look for PHP-MyAdmin as well as WordPress admin. Yeah. And so if GoBuster had found those things, that would have been very interesting. The kicker here is we're following the guide from basically the breadcrumbs from TryHackMe, right? But the breadcrumbs from TryHackMe make a big leap of logic. So if we come over to Recon, what's the hidden directory? Okay, cool. The next thing was find a form to upload to get a reverse shell. Okay, well, you found the hidden directory, but that doesn't necessarily take you to this next part right here. So we could either go add an additional task here that says, hey, find the form to upload it, or we could say, hey, by the way, what additional task could come for this that would be useful? Let's think about this. We could tell it to go through and find any upload forms on the website. Let me look at something real quick. What was the list of tools that we sent in? Let's see, where was our first tool? Oh, here. All right, so we get down to Recon. Actually, it's easier to see it over here. We come over to this one right here. So this is our list of tools that we currently have over in RoboPages. So we have a FUF full scan, FUF default scan, GoBuster directory brute force, we have GoWitness, HTTPS tech detect. GoWitness could be handy because, like, hey, we could go take a screenshot of the page and get an idea from it. Actually, we have a Katana headless crawler. So the quick and dirty way to do this would be go through and we add in an additional enumeration task that needs to happen in here that says basically go crawl the website or find any upload form, right? Trying to think how to rework the workflow in here. Target URL or list to crawl. Crawls a target or list of targets in headless mode. So we've already got Katana in here. I love that the first message you ever send is just commands. What's funny is I don't even think I actually use Stream Elements anymore. I probably should go turn it off. I don't know about these other tools. I would patch in Selenium get requests and look for HTML type tags with submit. Right, and that would be the way to go specifically find a form, right? What I'm trying to think is how do I coach the language model to go from we found hidden directories, go find what's on the hidden directories, right? Damn, it's 11 o'clock already. I check if there's something about hack the planet in there before asking. Oh, there is. It's just it's a floppy disk redeem. Let's see. Eventually, Hackbot was supposed to be able to decide its own tasking and expand on it.
Hack the planet!
Hack the planet. That was one of the eventual next steps, was to get Hackbot to do that. So I need to remind myself of that. That is an additional step that should be coming in the future. So for now, I think one of the... I see we don't have any new sound clips. Band, come on, man. Man, you're breaking my balls. You know why that is? Because when I get done with stream, sometimes I just want to go purge heretics in Darktide. That's why. The Emperor protects. Let's see. So I don't want to go off into the, hey, let's go make new tasks idea just yet. So the simplest solution here would be go add a new task into it and tell it, by the way, I want you to also go get all that information. Yeah, so if new directory, find the child directories, but coach the AA. Yeah. Let's try something with that real quick. So one thing we could do is come down to Stinger. We can make a modification to this. Except, I just realized, the boxes only stay on for 2 hours, and the stream's already at 3 hours now. So the box turned off like an hour ago. So let me boot this box back up real quick. The simplest solution here, for now, until we start adding in task generation, is we come over here, we can go to... Ah, damn it. There we go. View rendered. So what we do is bust this out. Actually, yeah. Hey, Firehorse, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. What I'm thinking is we just give it a new task here that says crawl the hidden directories. Crawl hidden directories to find upload forms. And what we'll do is we'll just bust this out right here. There we go. In this case, we do want the word hidden because we asked, hey, what are the hidden directories? Discovered actually might be a better way to do this. Crawl discovered directories to find upload forms. And this would be eventually something that the web exploitation agent would handle on its own, where it would come through and it would say, hey, we're going to do these tasks. The song starts sounding like they're reading Rainbow intro. Define. Are there any upload? Actually, we'll just say that. Crawl discover directories. Are there any upload forms? Look at those crispy CPEs. Yeah, I know, right? Which, by the way, I think the CPEs aren't helpful in this situation. Let me see. These are host data. Get down to the bottom here. There's so many AI messages happening here. View state, here we go. So in our host, yeah, we've got the CPEs here. Oh, which is weird because for... Oh, wait, hold on. That's on port 22. Here we go, 80. So we see there's an HTTP server. I do remember you telling me about that, band. Yeah, that we could... that would be something we could coach the language model on. Eventually. Actually, are there any exploits for Apache? Looking kind of crabby? You mean rusty? I mean, this is such an old version of Apache, we could probably find like an RCE. Am I red? I'm not that red. I mean, I was outside a lot today, dude. I spent like 3 hours outside doing lawn work. I finally have grass growing on the side of my house that was barren. My wife did like a ton of research, and she finally found like a variant seed of grass that would actually do it. All right, what I'm thinking here, though, not to get too sidetracked, is back here. Let's see. Crawl, discover directories. Are there any upload forms? Get remote code execution from a web shell. All right, so let me do this. View raw. I'm going to go look back over to TrackMe. Copy this. Drop this right here. And then let me go update this over in Stinger fast. There we go. So now we'll have a copy of it for using next time. Excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a new thread. Submit this. We made a couple of code changes though. I don't, because they were just extending models, like the Pydantic models, I don't think, or the type dictionary, it shouldn't break anything. Let's take a look at what the tasks are though. Use state. So task 0 went to recon, which is scan the target. What version of Apache is running? What service is running on 22? Enum, GoBuster to find hidden directories. Enum, crawl, discover directories. Are there any upload forms? Actually, this probably should be like, what are the upload forms? We'll have to wait for a couple minutes on this because GoBuster takes like 3 minutes to run. So while this is running, I'm gonna kick off the ads real quick. And I'm looking at the screen. I don't look that red, man. I mean, it's not like that one time, right, when I like got mega sunburned and I had the exposure off on the camera and it looked like I was glowing red. It wasn't that bad. I don't see any easily exploitable Apache bugs, by the way. Yeah, it's always a bit of a conundrum. It's like, hey, by the way, could we do this? And there's a lot of those theoretical ones where but they have a ton of preconditions, right? That was the idea behind the subtasking in the code here, is that these little mini tasks should be part of the subtasks that happen for the exploitation task. So once we decide on an exploit path, those preconditions and things to check for would be individual mini tasks, and then we'll go through and we'll say, examine the output from the mini tasks, and then develop a test to see, like, is the code actually exploitable eventually, or did the last mini task actually achieve code execution, things like that. And the one thing I really don't know how to handle is how are we going to have it handle blind execution, right? Where we get no output from the web form or from whatever the system is, but we send commands. How are we going to validate that we actually do get code execution? Typically, might do something like, hey, do a DNS query. Okay, well, cool. Now we got to have a DNS server, though, where we can catch the queries, or have something like interact sh come through and do it. Actually, does interact sh? Let's see something. Interact.sh. Does it do DNS? Loading. Let me try something real quick. I'm curious if I dig for an A record against this. Does that actually show up? Will it do... Oh, we could go do DNS. Okay, cool. So actually, we could go tie it over to interact sh and say, hey, by the way, here's another tool that you could use. Because it actually will do DNS queries. That's one of the things I like to do is, if I think I've got code execution, I'll send it something to solicit a DNS request. And then, because DNS is typically not filtered hardly at all. So if we get a DNS request back, then we know it's working. Nice. Let's see. Enum is probably running GoBuster right now. Yep, it's running it. And that takes like 3 minutes to run. That's why I ran the ads when I did. Let's see here. Oh, wait, hold on. Now we're getting a post to Python requests. We're doing something here. No. No. Son of a bitch. And, dang it. The output formatter was working, but then we got the dreaded overload error. Okay. Crap monkeys. What happens if I just continue? What will it do? Doesn't do anything. Host update, overload error. Dang it! Oh, we just had that persistent overload error. Wait, did it just die on me? What happened? Let's see what happened here. It just crapped on itself. Damn it. So it said it came back as validated, but based on the host data, several directories were discovered, including CS uploads. However, the data provided does not contain information about whether any of these directories contain upload forms. Yeah, I think that was a flaw in here, and that is they shouldn't have been. Are there any? That's a true false question, right? The question should have been crawl discover directories. What URLs have upload forms? That's what it should have been. I really want GoBuster to have a quicker runtime, but also I don't want to mess with it too much. I'm going to go ahead and do it, though. Let's see here. Let's see, CD to cybersecurity. I think it's offensive information gathering. Then GoBuster. YAML. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this just small.txt for now. Yeah. Yeah, it's just unfortunate timing, right? They know that I'm streaming and they're like, hey, watch it, we're going to mess with this guy. Actually, let me see, what was that? That was in data wordless web. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cd to turbo pages. I think it's data. Then I'm going to do is I'm going to vim small.txt. There's quick hits. What's the word count on that? Should try quick hits on there. Let's see, rep, panel, and quick hits. Yeah, actually, that should be what it would do, is just change it to quick hits. Back. That's such a smaller... Just watch, if we... Exit it. Damn it. Yeah, because like if I look at the word count for all these word lists, right? The small one is 20,000. The quick hits is 25. So by just massaging that a wee bit, we can reduce that runtime from like 180 seconds to like 20 seconds. So I won't feel so bad running this again. I guess one of the next things we should do is actually make the LLM call wrapper in there where whenever you execute it, if it basically do like a try catch wrapper on it, where when that happens, it'll just back off for like 5 seconds, and it will do that like 5 times before it just gives up on it and actually like nopes out of the code. So what's Recon down here doing? Recon is doing a SYN scan. to make sure I sit up properly. Okay, so now we're passing over to enum. So if we look at the state table, current task is number 2. So it's going to find out which version of Apache is running, which it actually should have no problem with because it should be able to answer a lot of those without having to. Hold on. Some of these, yeah, they shouldn't have output to them. Hold on, we're going to have to actually dig into this trace because for some, okay, this is not right. Why is the host blank here? Something is funky. Let's go take a look at the trace here, because for some reason that interface can get a little wonky. So IMAP scan took about 21 seconds. Let's see, Go Buster now only takes 25 seconds. So yeah, we dropped dropped it from 180 seconds to 25 seconds. Now, this is really weird though. So if we look at the messages, let's see. So we passed to recon. We're going to try and find how many open ports are there. We run this. We look at the structured output. There's 2 ports. There's 80 and 22. We're going to update that with the data from the Nmap scan. Task 0 becomes validated. Starting task 1. What service is running on port 22? We're going to pass it to a pre-flight check. Got the answer. It's SSH. Recon has no more tests, so we're passing to Stinger. If Stinger looks at the list, it passes it to enumeration. What version of Apache is running? We run a pre-flight check. It finds the version of Apache from the Nmap scan. We go run Go Buster. Task was unanswered, so we're passing it to the enum agent. We're going to use Go Buster to find the hidden directories. Go Buster runs against this URL. Comes back and it comes back with just a ton of stuff. So a lot of 403s come back, unfortunately. Let's see. Task unanswered, passing to the enum agent. Find hidden directories. Interesting that a lot of the HT accesses did not return. Oh, for some reason they're returning as 403s. Let me look at something real quick. So this is HT passwords. Let's Let's see. Robo pages, data, web. HT passwords from. We're doing small. How's that showing up in quick hits here? HT passwords versus .ht password. So we probably want to tell it to ignore like 400s or 403s because now it's getting a lot of extra data that's throwing it off. So it ran the Go Buster again. So it formats it, we get the data back, but all the 403s we don't want. Do that. Actually, it did finally get the answer. It did it twice. It just didn't realize that panel was the hidden one, and then for some reason it guessed it. All right, so then it starts task 4. Crawl, discover directories, what URLs have upload forms. Based on the provided host data, I can see several directories have been discovered, including panel and uploads. However, the data doesn't include information about which... Oh, this is... it validated it without actually doing it. Host data only shows directory listings with HTTP status code sizes. It doesn't contain the actual content of these pages. To determine which URLs have upload forms, we need to visit and inspect each discovered directory. I know! That was your job! You had one job. You had one job. Wait, hold on. Did it actually try something in here? Where were these tools being populated from? It didn't run Derby, Nikto, or a browser. Something's gone funky in here. All right. Unfortunately, that's where I got to end it tonight. We'll pick this up tomorrow. We'll try to figure out where did this information come from, because this should not be there. We didn't run Derby or Nikto. That's messed up. See, here we did though. It said we ran Go Buster. I was like, that's weird. All right, let's go see if we can find somebody to raid out to. Let's see, anybody over on InfoSec streams? Nope, not even me. All right, guys, if you got a raid suggestion, shout them out. Let's see who's online fast. Sherman Tank asks, have you ever made an Alexa skill? I have not. I'm not even sure what an Alexa skill is. If it's something like you can, like a voice-activated apps that expand the functionality of Alexa-enabled devices. Yeah, I avoid Alexa devices like the plague. So no, I have never made one of those. Yeah, I mean, I know some people have, but pretty much there's not a lot of smart devices I tend to. I get very particular about those in my house. Bash is on. Gotta be somebody on the Hypnotic's on, but he's playing Expedition 33, which would actually look like a really cool game. Kay's on, doing a good DJ stream. Might go raid her. I'm trying to make one that tells me who's on Twitch that I follow, but it fails to connect with the Alexa app. That's actually a really cool idea, though. Let's see. I'll tell you what, let's go see who's in our category. This person doing? I think their stream's on. Be right back. Hey, no problem, Sherm. Dude, this is a total learning stream. If I knew about Alexa skills, I would probably stay on for another hour and get yelled at by my wife. Why do they use the word lambda for the code page? What's a lambda? It depends on the context, but typically a lambda means it's a disposable one-time execution function. It's not like a regular function that has a name you would call repeatedly. So like if you see something, typically if it's called a lambda function, it's don't do it laughing. It would be something like, hey, this you have like a code block you want to execute with an input and a return value, but it's only literally used in this one spot. It's not reproducible, like it's not reused in multiple places in the code base. Lambdas are so annoying in code review. Yeah, they can be, dude. Like that's kind of like what the idea for AWS Lambda is, right? Is that it's something that just executes and then returns. It kind of just, it's something that's ephemeral in execution. Now, I don't know who this person is. Dianaro. It says they're working on Fortress Flipper game. That's it. We're just gonna go raid Griffin. He's always doing fun stuff. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that's where I've got to finish it off. I got to figure out what's going on with these tools. The LLM all of a sudden just start inserting like random ass tools in here. We'll have to go clean that up. That's not such a big deal. But that's where I got to wrap it up for y'all. Yeah, sure, man. It's like a volatile function. Yeah. Exactly. Ass tools. It is. And so, oh dang it. I did, didn't I? Hang on. Before I forget. There we go. All right, swear counters up to 13. Dang right, son. All right, guys. That's all I got for you tonight. I want y'all to remember one thing, and that is, I love you. Peace.